Next up, we have Pierre Quemard. Pierre is a senior manager, innovation principal at Finastra with 15 years of experience in financial services. He is currently leading the global innovation agenda, process, technology, and teams to bring idea to production on the #1 financial platform in the world. Using best practices such as design thinking, lean startup, 90-day challenges, and global hackathons, he is incubating and driving cutting-edge technological use cases around artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, open API strategy, and UX. His responsibilities span from pre-sales engagement to customer advocacy through time-critical implementation, enabling strong understanding of technological challenges in this sector. Please join me in welcoming Pierre to the stage.
Thank you, Patricia. So I want to talk to you about the future of banking innovation and how we can make it collaborative. That's a lot of buzzword right here. So let's try to unravel a little bit what I mean by that. And the first thing I want to do is just explain how we can move from small project or ideas toward a real open finance architecture, thanks to open API and all the good technology that's around it. And really how this is going to enable us to connect not only to innovation, but also bridge the gap that there is between bank and fintech and all the partner ecosystem. Because right now we realize that in the world of finance, what matters is to have as many partners as possible and to be able to communicate and connect with as many partners as possible. And so how can we achieve this with the world of open finance? And finally, I want to tackle a little bit about banking as a service. And what does it mean exactly? How can we do the bank of the future? You know, as Bill Gates said once, he said, we might not need bank in the future, but we'll always need banking. So how can we provide this banking capability as a service? So let's talk a little bit about what's the current state right now and the problem that financial institutions face. And the thing is basically pretty easy. On one side, you have your legacy architecture, which is extremely important because as a regulated entity, you need to show that you can do things in a very right way and that you're really good at doing those things. But on the other side, you also have the innovation, the need for innovation and all those cool fintechs that are doing things that are basically disrupting the world of finance. And those two worlds live at a different speed. The legacy architecture is a bit slower, but by design, and it has to be this way. And on the other hand, you have this agility. So how can you connect both of the world in a frictionless manner in order to make sure that you can tap from the innovation, but yet still serve your core customer and what you're really good at? Well, here come open banking and the platform. And basically what Finastra can provide here. So the idea is that in the middle, right, between your entire core application that you have, whether it's corporate, lending, payment, treasury, capital market, everything that you're currently doing, exposing this to fintech, other developers, system integrator, or even universities, or a few people in the garage that have this amazing fintech idea, right? And how you can expose this data in order to get better understanding of this data, create more producer and more consumer. It's a self-feeding ecosystem. And that's what Finastra's open platform is all about. The idea is that we expose all the APIs that we have from our current system directly on this platform. And then we let anyone capability to develop an app or an idea directly on top that would be then after be used by financial institutions. That means that any financial institution that would need a specific, I would say, functionality can have it directly using the store. So you have three components in it. One is Fusion Creator that basically allow you to create an application directly using the API available. Fusion Store, where you can consume those applications directly. And finally, Fusion Operate that allows the financial institution to manage who is able to access their data, what is being done with the data, and so on. And all of this is the power of the platform. So what does that mean in detail? Well, let's have a look at the website and the platform itself. So here I am on fusionfabric.cloud website. And as soon as I arrive on the website, there is a few things I can see directly. I can create an app or consume an app. And what does consuming an application mean? Well, if I open this it's basically going to tell me all the applications that are currently in the store for Finastra. So you can sort them by product, by line of business. There is a lot of application already available. And if I pick any application, I can directly see what are they related to or which APIs they are currently using. So in this case, I can have an understanding of the application and the building block or API that are being used. But now let's have a look at the other side. If I decide to develop something, I can then access the developer portal from Fusion Fabric Cloud. From here, I can explore all the APIs that are available. Again, sorting by line of business. So let's say I want API that are related to payment, right? And I can just simply look at all the payment-related API. And for each API, even if I'm not a developer, I can just go and have a look at specific information. Payment initiation, that seems pretty interesting. Or person-to-person payment. I can look at how I would need to authenticate, and then the type of data that would be required, and how I could communicate with this API. This would work also with the water lending or anything that's available on the platform. So in a nutshell, what the platform provides is also not only the capability to connect, but really to tackle this innovation for a small fee. So on one side, for financial institutions, we provide them a full architecture to manage the consent for each fintech, resource and authentication, and then also telemetry and monitoring, meaning that you know which fintech are accessing to what, and how you can transfer this data directly to them. On the other hand, for fintech, we give them a full access to the API, dataset, and other service API. I will define this in a few minutes, but really not only API, but large dataset and all of this. And we also give them the capability to connect to an existing sandbox, meaning that basically they will be able to use the open platform, develop against the open platform without being connected to any client. And when this is ready, you can talk to a financial institution, and then this financial institution can come over and say, okay, I think I can work with you, and then give them access to the environment. What that means is that you have actual integrator that are developing application on top of the platform, and we don't even need to be involved at all. Because as soon as the application is ready, they can work with the bank, and we can just bundle them directly in order for them to connect directly to the proper data. It's a revolution, basically. It changed completely the speed to market and the way you would be able to deliver any kind of application. But let's again have a look at it and how it would work for me. So I'm going to sign in as a fintech, and I'm going to create an application according to the APIs that I think are relevant for me. So I'm simply signing into the developer portal. And this time, I'm going to go and create an application. So this is going to be my customer experience revolutionary app. I can then simply go next, pick any APIs that I think are relevant for me. So let's say I want to do something both in payment and consumer banking in a B2B environment. I could then get, let's say, maybe consumer information, account information, and then some specific payment information as well, right? I can also speak some SPI, or what we call microservices, or even some data set if I want a large amount of data, let's say if I'm doing AI and machine learning. By clicking on next, I can simply agree for the term, and then this will generate an entry point for me to use the API. When this is done, and I've developed again this API and I use the key I want, I can then promote it to UAT, and then eventually to production in order to connect to actual financial institution environment. So if we go back, what is provided right here? It's a full set of building blocks for innovation. Not only API, meaning a fintech connecting to a financial institution, but also service API or microservices, which allow Finastra to just provide simple banking capability to a fintech that they would need, or maybe a neobank. On the other side, you have the bank using the platform, where the bank will be able to call via SPI directly an existing application. For the case of payment, for example, you might want to do fraud or risk analysis. You can do this directly by calling the SPI to do so. We can also send events if you want to tell all your current customers a specific information, a new loan is available. Then you can just spread this event and everybody will be aware of this. And finally, data share, which means that you can not only send access to API, but let's say I want to do AI and machine learning. Maybe I want to be able to look at the current loan document that I have in order to be able to extract information directly on the fly. Do we have a company that does that? I don't know, but maybe a fintech is able to do it. And the only thing they need is access to your data. In this case, by using the data share, you can directly have a large data set automatically replicated in an Azure environment where they can check in the data. So security is following a zero trust encryption, making sure that during the entire process, the data is secure. And again, we give a dashboard via Fusion Operate for the financial institution to monitor who is accessing the data, which fintech, and what is being done with it. All this integration is not only transparent, but extremely efficient. That's really the key to get a frictionless environment between the innovation one side and the financial institution on the other side. So how does it work in practice? Well, you have the fintech developer, as I showed you, creating an application that would connect to a specific sandbox. From there, we set up also as a tenant in our environment existing application from our financial institution partner. The financial institution can either have this environment on the cloud or even on premise, where we would just use a Fusion Fabric gateway to create a link between the existing environment towards our Fusion Fabric.cloud environment. And from there, when the app is being developed, we can simply promote the application to UAT, and the financial institution will just manage consent to make sure that they have access to the right environment. This is the simplest life cycle possible because the entire development cycle is out of the financial institution, and then they just need to enable the application when they need it. It's almost like the iPhone, right? When you need a new application, you can just download it, look at the application, pay for it, and be able to use it. It's exactly the same concept, but for financial institutions. Now, that's what the platform is about, but the platform has been here for a little while now, and we have a lot of applications across all line of business. So I would recommend everybody to go check fusionfabric.cloud and also to look at the Fusion Store to look at all the applications that we have across, again, all line of business, whether it's digital experience, document and processing, AML and fraud, and again, it fits in lending, payment, corporate. The idea is really to get access and to give access for our financial institution to all the fintech partners that we can find. Now, what is the future for us from there? Well, where we started were being able to provide software. Then we decided to create fusionfabric.cloud to provide API access. From there, we're providing banking as a service, enabling different fintech and integration to really provide services, not only API, but really banking capability. And finally, our goal is to become the bank and the open finance orchestrator. So going from open platform to open banking to open finance. And that's really the goal for fusionfabric.cloud and Finastra for now. So if you have any other specific question or point that you want to check, I would recommend to scan the little QR code that is going to show up on your screen here. This is going to be the website for fusionfabric.cloud. You can also simply type fusionfabric.cloud. And if you have any other type of question of, or I would say inquiries around Fusion Fabric.cloud, please send us email at americasmarketing@finastra.com, or you can reach me directly at my first name, Pierre.Quemard@finastra.com. And again, other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer everything as they come through. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Pierre. That was great.